www.gundam.tk presents Arios Gundam. Welcome back to part 2 of the 1/100th Arios Gundam. All of the parts. One of the first things I noticed when building the Arios Gundam is that it's actually broken down into very few parts. There's not a lot of extras, there's not a lot of add-ons. Besides the beam saber and the twin rifle, the legs are going to be one piece. The large waist section, small chest, of course the waist doesn't bend, which a lot of people won't like, and you get the arms with the shoulders already attached. This slaps onto the back, and these are just bases used to attach it to the action base. Let's take a look at the pieces starting from the bottom up, and the leg is fairly different from the Arios Gundam, including it has a really good hip joint. I was impressed with that. Over on the sides, you can see that there's a jet up here at the top, which is just a one piece of yellow that you can add some lining to, and a dark gray piece. Now, as far as mobility goes, the knee bends, and you can pull off almost a full 180. And the ankle, even though they look really strange from the side, I think they actually look really sharp from the front. So you get this much mobility off to the sides, and of course this can move a fair bit because that's going to be involved in the transformation. As well, this long blade on the foot can pull forward, and you can see that there's a slide there, and that will lock into place again later for the transformation. Good legs, they look a bit unorthodox, but I'm impressed. The waist section of the Arios Gundam is probably where it's the most unique compared to the other four. When you look at the back flap is just two pieces snapped together, and in the back here you can see that there's a place where if you want to attach it to an action base, you will snap this in here, and the Arios Gundam will sit at an angle like that. Also down here these parts flip out, and that's for the transformation. As far as the front goes, this, well, you can make all the jokes you want about that, and the waist, if you pull it off, it exposes the GN drive underneath. Now, in a way, it's a little disappointing that the GN drive isn't visible when it's regularly put together, but at the same time, it makes sense to add some protection over the most vital component of the Gundam. On the back of the waist skirt, you can also put in the beam sabers for storage. Now, the chest is very, very simple at the top. Now, one big complaint is, like all the other suits in the 00 Gundam, this does not detach. This is one piece down below. So when you put this on, you're going to be able to move the top of the chest, but you won't actually be able to move the waist. So that differs from the 144th. One thing that's different from the actual portrayal in the anime is that the top of these yellow lines should actually be dark gray. So if you're a good painter, you should paint that up. The shoulders are very simple, and in the back there's a very small piece that attaches onto the back here. Now this itself will turn into the actual cockpit of the Arios Gundam, and it just snaps on here with this piece into the back of the chest. Now here what I did is I painted this clear part dark green, and basically if there's sunlight it shows up and it looks good, and if it's dark you won't even notice it at all. Now instead of painting it, you can use this green sticker, so whichever one you prefer. So here's a look at the right arm of the Arios Gundam, and you can see that the shield / front of the jet mode is already attached. That's not something you add on afterwards like the Arios Gundam. So first, looking at the arm itself, it's a little different from the rest of the 00s. As far as mobility goes, you can move it up to here, but then the wrist also moves, so you can achieve somewhat of a 180-degree bend. So that's not bad. Now something I both like and dislike is I like the idea of the Gatling guns that are underneath this, but this piece, unless you, there I cheated and pulled it off earlier, but it's actually hard to pull off. And all of this underneath should be gray, so if you're a good painter, please go ahead and paint that and it'll look a lot better. Now what's cool though is that you can see that there's a long and a short part here. So when you put it in, of course you put it in flush, but when you take it off, if you put the long part into the short groove, what you're left with is the Gatling guns exposed through the arms. So like I said, if they were painted, I think they'd look a lot better though. If you do this, you have the shoulders, and of course you're going to be able to bend this so you can get some of that action going, and when you put it in pincher mode it exposes the holograms underneath. As far as a shield goes, I don't know how effective a shield this wide is going to be, but it is cool that you're able to bend it around, you're able to bend the arm around, but you're not able to bring the shield in front of the Gundam. So I think that may be a useless feature. Now something you can decide whether you need or not is on here, basically there's a dark, it's a very, very dark green sticker that you can put underneath the clear part. Now in addition to putting the sticker there, I've also painted that green. But because it's on such a dark background, it hardly shows off at all. But if you didn't put the sticker there, it would also be almost invisible. So this is something where if you get the right light, it looks pretty sharp. But you cannot paint that, and I don't think you'll be missing out on too much. Now the head of the Arios Gundam is a real winner in my eyes. I think it looks better than the Karadim Gundams. And it's very, very angular, which sort of goes along with the whole theme of the Gundam. You can see that the eyes are reflecting a little bit. That's because I chose to put on the hologram eyes. And it has the regular chin piece of a Gundam, but it's very elongated, along with these side guards. As far as lining goes, you don't actually have to put on a lot of lining, just a little bit here, and I did that in gray. And there's some nice deep channels up there for lining up as well. Now here, of course, this is kid-proof because it's only a 1/100th. So there should be some pieces sticking off over here, but you can just cut those off to basically de-kidify it. Now if you look at the actual red jewel up there, if you put on this red sticker, I think it wouldn't look anywhere near as good as this does. And actually you put the sticker on underneath, not on top. So for the $1.50, I would recommend getting the red clear paint just for the jewel itself. But it's a sharp looking head, and I think the Arios is going to stand out because of it. Something that I want to thank Bandai for every time they do it, and I hope they do it with every Weekend in the future, is attach a custom piece to make this Gundam fit very well onto the 1/100th action base. And not only do they give you the part for the Gundam, but they also give you a part to attach it on in flight mode. So you'll basically just plug this in, and then you can have your Arios Gundam flying in the air, pinching an enemy. Hopefully they make some 1/100th enemies too. So there you have all the details and all the parts of the Arios Gundam. Stay tuned for part 3 to see it all put together.